Linearity. While not necessarily always a bad thing, it is commonplace in video games. There is always an end goal or destination, and often only truly one path to get to that point. One of the most common offenders would be the Pokémon franchise. This makes sense. Your goal is to become the strongest trainer in your region. This sees you collecting all of the gym badges to fight the Pokémon League and become champion. And this is more or less in a predetermined order. But with the upcoming release of Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, it's looking likely this will soon be a relic of the past. But what if I told you there exists a way to play a nearly 22-year-old Pokémon game a completely different way that just so happens to be one of the most entertaining speedruns I have ever tried? Welcome to Speedrunning Simplified. The key item, an often solution to the classic "you can't go here yet" roadblock in video games. Beautifully cataloged by the Twitter user No Need Go, showcasing the various ways video games prevent the player from going places the developers haven't yet intended. A fun solution for the Pokémon franchise is blocking the path with a Pokémon. I'm sure we all have memories of using the squirt bottle to battle Sudowoodo, or the Poke Flute to awaken Snorlax. But what if we were to obtain these items before ever intended? To obtain the squirt bottle normally, the player has to receive the plain badge from Whitney in Goldenrod City and speak to the town's flower shop owner. What if, instead, the squirt bottle was given by, let's say, the Sage of Sprout Tower? This would open the path to the northern part of Johto immediately, breaking standard progression wide open. You could, in theory, fight the usual 4th gym leader in Morty as your very first gym leader, and with the goal of the game being to collect all 16 badges, skips like that could prove pretty useful. But what if, instead of giving you the fog badge as intended, he gave you the coin case and a gambling addiction? Welcome to the world of the Key Item Randomizer. But you might be thinking, what if you never received the squirt bottle at all? A set of principles underlying the arrangements of elements so as to perform a specified task. That, my friends, is logic. The randomizer is programmed to know which items unlock which checks, meaning there will always be a method of progression available to the player shuffled somewhere into the game. There are 3 main key items which blow progression in Pokémon Crystal wide open, one of which we have already discussed, being the squirt bottle. The other 2 are what makes Pokémon Crystal the perfect game for key item randomization: the Magnet Train Pass and the SS Ticket. The Johto Pokemon games are unique. They have an additional region to explore in Kanto. However, you can't normally access Kanto until after defeating the Pokemon League and receiving the SS Ticket from Professor Elm. Keyword: normally. This is no normal speedrun. My mother gave me the Magnet Train Pass instead of my cell phone. If my mother were to actually give me the Magnet Train Pass, the pass would then be what is considered in logic, meaning anything I can obtain by using the pass may be required to progress. These obtainables are referred to as checks. There are many levels of the Key Item Randomizer, ranging from beginner-friendly to pretty brutal. But one thing remains the same through all of them. If it is included in the randomization, it can and should be checked. I'll be using the version Crazy Logic with Hidden Items as the primary example for this video. This takes pretty much everything you can think of and completely randomizes it. Item balls, badges, gifts, TMs, HMs, key items, Pokegear cards, weak siblings, the Pokédex, hidden items, and even berry trees are fair game. This mode allows for the largest number of skips to be made relative to any other game mode. Gyms might not even be required to beat the game. Most gym leaders give both a badge and a TM, but in this, Faulkner could give you a berry and an old rod instead. You might not usually find yourself talking to Buena and Goldenrod for the blue card. Hell, you might not have even known this item existed. But you better check, because she might be handing out secret potions today, and Amphi is looking mighty sick. And if she does, curing Amphi in the lighthouse is now in logic. You get the picture. So in a way, speedrunning a Pokemon Key Item Randomizer is a lot like speedrunning something like Minecraft. You need to be able to think on your feet and figure out what route, based on the items you have, would yield the most checks for your time. Let's check out what that looks like, as well as how you can try it out for yourself. Speedrunning a Pokémon Crystal Key Item Randomizer is much different from regular speedruns of Crystal. obviously, but I'm not just talking about how it's played, but the hardware itself. These speedruns are done on a ROM known as Speed Choice. This adds a bunch of quality of life features such as instant text, hold to mash, the ability to start with the bicycle, the option to purge story sections and spinners from the game, among much more. You can find all of the randomizer settings people use and everything, wink, you need to try this out for yourself in the description below. There are a ton of different modes and modifiers you can play around with, customizing the experience to your liking. Some modifiers are used with pretty much every mode. Not being forced to fight Sabrina or Rival 4 too early due to their difficulty, removing the Ilex Forest cut tree so the game isn't required to always give you cut at the start, being able to fight Red without needing to beat the Pokemon League, so long as you have all 16 badges, and forcing Fly to be obtainable before having to either take the SS Aqua, enter Route 44, awaken Snorlax, enter Victory Road, or enter the Cerulean Gym, just to name a few examples. This is crucial, as being able to use Fly as early as possible is a key component to going fast. The other key component to going fast is capturing a Pokemon good enough to carry you through the game. Oh, did I mention the Pokemon are randomized as well? Yeah, and some of course are better for this than others. This can be one of the most important parts of a run. Just because a Pokemon might look really good on the surface doesn't necessarily mean anything in this. The beloved Charizard is a fantastic example. Charizard is absolutely awful for this. Whoa, hold the pitchforks please. I have a perfectly good reason for bashing Charizard. The Pokemon randomizer settings used give every single Pokemon completely random movesets, and every Pokemon has a full moveset. This makes finding a main much more difficult. Pokemon that would normally be pretty good, such as Celebi or the aforementioned Charizard, are extremely risky choices. They have a quad weakness to a type. And while Bug and Rock respectively aren't exactly the most common attacking moves, the threat is magnified greatly when you realize any and all Pokemon can randomly slap you with one. Generally, you want to have a Pokemon that is fast, with good attacking stats and moves, ideally without a quad weakness. Sometimes you will get a good starter Pokemon, but you'll likely be switching Pokemon a few times during the run. If you get the Squirtle early, the Sudowoodo is a free level 20 Pokemon, being an early increase in power. Or if you can find a Pokemon with the move Rock Smash early on, you can check for a Pokemon in the Dark Cave that will come at level 15. Fishing, gift Pokemon, and even Kenya, the bird, or whatever it becomes, can be other alternatives as well. If you get early access to Kanto, the Pokemon in and below Cycling Road are found around the 30s, which is typically used by runners when they need to switch. The best of the best Pokemon to run would be Mewtwo, Espeon, Raikou, Zapdos, and Ho-Oh, with things like Starmie, Tauros, Gengar, Alakazam, Kingdra, and Dodrio being extremely good options as well. You can get away with a lot, however. Since all of the movesets are randomized, a lot of this comes down to what moves your Pokemon have. In most situations, the moveset is far and away more valuable than the Pokemon, unless you're a Mewtwo. Even if you are incredibly familiar with Pokémon Crystal, I highly recommend using the tool Emo Tracker while you run. This is an amazing resource that lets you mark off checks as you check them, and items as you find them, that can be set to whatever mode you're currently running. By finding both components to Surf, being HM03 and the Fog Badge, and checking them off on the tracker, it will then start showing all of the checks now available to the player that previously required Surf. A regular Pokemon Crystal speedrun normally takes just over 3 hours, but full item randomizers can technically take anywhere from under an hour if you're incredibly lucky, to up to 4 hours if you're incredibly unlucky. To finish a full item randomizer run, the player needs all 16 badges, the Pokegear, and the radio and expansion cards. You need all 16 badges to challenge Red at the top of Silver Cave to end the run, and you need the Pokegear and the respective cards to get access to the cave. Every seed is going to be different, like Minecraft. Not every seed is going to be fast. Some will require you to fight the Pokemon League or do the Radio Tower takeover the intended way, which is really slow and unfortunate. Whereas some will give you the card key early, which lets you skip a huge portion of the Radio Tower takeover. So when you return with the basement key, all of the rocket grunts are gone. Sometimes you'll get Surf access really early, and sometimes you won't see Surf until extremely late in the run. The Dream Seed would be having items that unlock a large amount of checks be rolled to be in Silver Cave. Think about it, since you can't access Silver Cave without all the items required to finish, if items such as Surf, Strength, Cut, etc. were in fact put inside Silver Cave, all of the areas they would allow you to check wouldn't be possible locations for the items you need, essentially meaning you're more likely to find the badges and Pokegear parts faster. Learning the ins and outs of Crystal Key Item Randomizers was some of the most fun I have ever had with speedruns or even Pokemon in general for that matter. and I've been a fan since I was a toddler. These runs are the perfect material for races with friends, or even co-op runs, where you and your friend go different routes and locate the items you need together. If you're a fan of Pokemon, I highly recommend trying this out for yourself. Seriously, if you get a free moment, you've got to give this a shot. Try it out with a friend. It makes the experience so much more exciting. I'll be sure to put all the resources and any helpful links in the description down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I'd love to help out any way that I can. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found the topic as interesting as I do. If you did, consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already to learn more about different speedruns alongside me. Thank you so much for watching.